Oh,
Here we
there we
go.
go. You're on. Okay. Can I go? Can we start early? I guess by the time we do the...
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the town board meeting, regular town board meeting of November 29th, 2022. Town clerk, on our roll call.
Councilman Tom Divany.
Here.
Councilman Paul Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Jerry Matari.
Here.
Councilman Brian Donahue.
Here.
Supervisor Teresa Kenny.
Here. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. My Councilman Valentine will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a quick announcement. We are having the public hearing on the Orangetown Comprehensive Plan. The draft plan is going to be on December 13th, 2022. It's available on our website, although is the newest one up? Did she? No, December 5th. December 5th, okay. So the latest one, the one that's going to be, is going to be put up on the town website on December 5th. Okay, so we have a presentation. We're going to start with our assessor, Brian Kenny, to talk about a new senior exemption that's available.
Good evening. It's not a new exemption, but the income limits are different. It's an option passed by New York State this year, which raises the income level in order to still receive the exemption. So if you're not aware of it, the town and school districts and the villages have all opted into this, what people call the senior citizens exemption, really the aged exemption and disabilities. And it's based on using your residence as a primary residence. You have to be 65. One of the owners have to be 65. And it's based on an income maximum. And right now, the income maximum is $37,400 gross income. Unlike the STAR exemption for seniors, they use adjusted gross, but this is gross income, so it has to include everything. If you have a side business, we have to look at 1099s and everything. That's the difficult part for my office. We have to be financial investigators, but nevertheless, that's what we have to go through. So what New York State did is they opted into increasing the income maximum to this $58,400 in order to receive at least 5% off your property taxes. If you make under $50,000, you would get essentially a 50% reduction in your property taxes. Right now, the bottom limit for 5% is $37,400. So it's a substantial increase. In order to receive a 50% exemption right now, you have to have a gross income of under $29,000. So I guess the state decided, since these numbers have not been revised since 2009, and because of inflation and the cost of living and increased property taxes in general, they wanted to do something for the senior citizens in New York State. So they opted into this program, or they passed this program that towns, villages, and school districts can opt into if they want to. They don't have to. Right now, and I think I've emailed you and the town board about this previously, and right now the county, the town, and the school districts are all on the same page with the same schedule ever since, since I've been here. It's been revised over the number of years, but if we've adopted a schedule, it's all been the same. So there are a couple of option schedules as well. So what I suggested is we wait and see at least what Rockland County is going to do first. And I think pretty soon they're going to pass, I believe, this schedule, from what I've heard. I believe some of the other towns are also considering this. I'm not sure if Ramapo actually did this or not. They're usually the first to get on board with something like this. So I think it would be a good idea that we want to have a similar schedule to at least Rockland County. The school districts can then follow suit, as well as Orangetown. And essentially, when we find out, I think that would be the time for the town to consider it. You can do that on your own anyway if you want. You'd have to have a public hearing and then a resolution.
So Brian, there was some confusion in the early reporting. Do all three, like the county, the town, and the school have to do it, or can can
They all
the
have
school?
to do it.
They
Everybody
all have
has
to do it for anyone to do it? Like if so the town wanted to do it and the school didn't, that won't, it has to be everybody?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, we don't, if we wanted to stay where we were, we could.
Okay,
And the county can do what they want, and the schools can do
Okay.
what they want.
there was a little confusion there.
There is a difference, there's a veterans exemption that we offer too, and in that case, the schools did not follow what the county and the towns did. They have their own schedule, which is a little bit less than what we offer for veterans. And I guess their feeling was, well, veterans have children in school anyway, so they just did their own thing, so we have a separate schedule for them. They get a benefit, but they don't get the same benefit that you would get in town. And essentially, that's basically it.
And do you know when we would have to vote, or do what do we have to do?
This would have to be done probably before March 1st.
Yeah, okay.
The sooner the better, because
Yeah.
we'll be getting applications in beginning of the year. And we will be sending them out probably in the next couple of weeks, renewal applications. So in order to do the math, we'd have to know what schedule we're comparing it to, comparing their income to. So sooner would be better. And as soon as the county does what they're going to do, we'll find out, and then perhaps you can set a public hearing if you want. So sometimes I've had questions from the school districts, what is the impact of that? Right now, I think for the town, it seems, when an exemption is given, everybody else has to pay for that exemption, in a sense, because the tax monies are shifted to everybody else that aren't qualified. So right now, I believe the town is shifting about 400,000 tax dollars because of the current exemption. If this were in place and no new applications came in, I estimated about 15% increase in the 400,000. The problem is trying to estimate how many people are out there that haven't applied or that will apply, because we don't know what their income is until we see their paperwork. And obviously, there's going to be more people that are going to be qualified. So it's going to shift more tax dollars to everybody else, but that's what exemptions do. Same thing with veterans. This same schedule also applies to disability as well. And in that case, there's no age limit, but you have to prove that your income is limited because of the disability. And you get the same benefit, whatever schedule the town decides to adopt, so. And that's about it. So,
Anybody have questions?
any questions about that?
No? Very good. Thank you, Brian.
Do you have any date, or do you know if the county's considering this? Is
I
it
just
on the
talked
agenda?
to them, and they just keep saying, yeah, they're gonna do it.
I
would
did hear
think-
the same thing. I heard they were going to do it, but it was informally.
Yeah, within a
What's
couple
the
weeks.
drop dead date to adopt this for it to be effective 2024?
Well, as I said, the real drop dead day would be March 1.
All right.
But hopefully, we're going to do that way before that, because, as I said, we'll be getting applications in. We have to put the exemption percentages in our system, and I don't want to do that at the last minute, but if we have to wait that long, we can.
And again, this is for the 2024 then.
This will be
Gotcha.
this won't take place for town taxes until
Right.
January 24.
24.
Yeah, everything's a year behind in tax,
Mhm.
in assessments, so.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, next we have a presentation. We're going to call up Eagle Scout Nick Burns, and if his family wants to come up with him, they are more than welcome to. What? They don't want to come up with him? Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm good.
So
How are
just
you?
let me tell the public, for those who don't know, we're recognizing Eagle Scout Nick Burns. He worked on the William O. Schaefer Nature Trail Project. He rerouted a portion of the trail that was eroding due to stormwater runoff and added a bridge and walkway decking through the rerouted area to make the trail more resistant to future erosion and more easily accessible for users.
Correct.
So we, as a community, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And congratulations on a job well done. So the town board does have a certificate here of recognition for what you did. Do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone that made the project happen. I wouldn't have been able to complete it without everyone's help. Mr. Gorton, thank you. Mom, Dad, Scouts, Mr. M, my project coach, everyone. Everyone was great. We couldn't have done it without everyone. It was a group effort. So
I
wanna
see a
thank
future
everyone.
politician standing before me here. That was very good.
Thank you.
You want to come on up? We could have you can take a pic, you can hold it. If Mom and Dad want to come, we'll take a picture. You want to turn around and go to the board there, and you guys want to stand up for a picture? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to workshop the agenda items first, which I think we have a fairly short agenda. Number 3 is, this is the item that we pulled from the last meeting, which is authorization to sell parkland and grant a temporary easement to the County of Rockland. This has to do with a bridge replacement. It's going to be a hairy project. Number 4, this is an agreement with for the charging stations we have down in Spark Hill. We have an agreement, 5-year agreement, basically with them, and I think at the end of this 5 years, we may have to replace them, but we're going to get another 5 years for our charging stations. 5, approve designate snow emergency routes. This is really for South Nyack because we had never done it before, but basically it has to do with plowing, and so Highway put this on, designating certain roads as emergency routes that I guess get plowed first. Number 6, appoint John Robinson to the position of senior grounds worker, effective December 5th in the Department of Parks and Recreation. I don't know if he's here, but anyway. Number 7, which is basically to combine, we have lend assistance for the Pearl River Rotary Share Christmas and the Holidays, which is on December 9th. That's always a good time had by all. Number 9, approve lend assistance to the Tapan Reformed Church caroling and tree lighting, which is on December 3rd. Number 10, approve lend assistance to the 2022 Winter Wonderland Family Festival, which is on Saturday, December 3rd. That's at St. Thomas Aquinas College. Number 11, approve lend assistance to the 2022 Orangeburg Fire Department Holiday Parade, which is on to Saturday, December 10th. So lots of fun things to do. Then we have number 12. This is our calendar meeting for 2023. So I don't know if you guys have any comments or changes, but certainly we could change it through the year, but we went through it and came up with a tentative schedule for everybody. And then we have the audit, so we have a fairly quiet agenda item. Before we open the public comment, I do want to make a statement. This has to do with the post from the Rockland Cider Works or Van Houten Farms regarding the farm being shut down over the weekend. So I'm just going to say, to begin with, nobody here wanted to shut down the farm. That was certainly not anything that anyone on this board ever wanted to do. But we're aware that the post from Rockland Cider Works was misleading, to say the least, that we shut down the farm on Small Business Saturday. To be clear, no official from the Orangetown shut down the farm. In fact, it had nothing to do with the ongoing lawsuit. This was a totally separate incident regarding something that was brought to our fire inspector's attention that was deemed an unsafe condition and that posed a threat to human lives. So the town had received a call from Rockland County Highway Department, who had been out at the scene. It's a county road, and they had received complaints, so someone from the Highway Department went out and saw what they thought was something of concern, and they contacted the town. The Orangetown Fire Inspector came out, he responded, and he observed a greenhouse structure that was being operated as a bar, with a heater, string lights, and a band, and with people in it. A greenhouse being used as a place of assembly was a clear and obvious violation of the New York State Fire Code for many reasons, which basically the material on the roof doesn't meet the standards for having people inside it. I'm told from the fire inspector that this had been raised with the owners prior to this, so they were aware of it. But acting on his observations and his statutory legal duty, the fire inspector notified the owners that no one could be assembled in that structure. He did not close the farm, he didn't throw people out, he said people could not be in that structure. It's a little worrisome to me that the owners had been told that this was a hazardous condition, and I'm assured they were, from the fire inspector, that they would still allow people to go in there and then mislead the residents into thinking that the town was out to shut the farm down. This had nothing to do with the farm. This had to do with a greenhouse being used to house people, with lights and a heater, which is all very dangerous. So I personally have complete trust in our fire inspector. I think he's one of the best, and I know that he was doing what he thought was required by law. So I can speak for myself. None of us on the town board even know what was happening until after it happened. So nobody up here knew or ordered it or was directing the fire inspector to take that action. So anyway, I know there's people who want to speak about it tonight. I'm just going to remind everybody to please keep, we're going to keep our comments, everybody for any matter, to 3 minutes. But also as a reminder that we can all have our differences of opinions, but this is not Facebook. So I'm not going to tolerate name calling or accusations of bribery or fraud or corruption or anything else. You are more than happy to disagree with us, disagree with me, whatever, but we're not going to allow people to start, saying inappropriate things. So, and that goes for every topic anyone speaks on ever in this town board. So on that note, can I get a motion to open the public comment?
Move to open public comments.
Second?
No second.
I think Jerry was first. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the first person, and if you didn't sign up, I will always give everybody who missed the sign up a chance to speak, so don't worry. But the first person we have signed up is Kevin Clancy.
Good evening. My name's Kevin Clancy. I reside at 18 Carlton Road, and I'm here to discuss the single-family residence issue at 19 Carlton Road. We were here as a mini neighborhood community that we had over on Carlton Road to discuss the happenings of a boarding house issue at 19. There have been improvements since our last meeting. There have been a lot of people have been, I'm not going to say evicted, but a lot of people have been, they left the residence. Have there been new people who moved in? Sure. Is it a single family? No. Drive by right now on your way home tonight. Drive by 19 Carlton Road and you'll see a dirty, filthy mattress sitting right outside and right next to the driveway. When I look out my window, this is what I see every morning for the last 6 days. Is it going to improve? I don't know. Just lastly, I want to touch upon what just happened up in Chestnut Ridge last week, right? Zoned as a single family. What happened? Numerous people in the house. It wasn't a single family. We're just looking to prevent this happening on our block. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra, I'm sorry, Eubanks, did I say it right?
So, I wrote something down, but I'm basically going to finish what Kevin said. Our concern is 19 Carlton Road. Hi, I'm sorry, I'm Sandy Eubanks, 14 Carlton Road. He was talking about 19, and last time I was here, I started to cry, so I'm trying not to cry this time. I get emotional. But anyway, so we do have a problem at that house. As Kevin said, people move in, they move out. They're evicted, we don't even know what goes on, but there is right now a mattress. This is probably the 4th mattress in the past year that we've seen in front of the house. Different ones, of course. So people come and they go. It is like a boarding house. It's not fair to the neighbors, especially myself and Kevin and the people on either side of the house. So what we're asking is, again, I know you've been looking into it. I've spoken with people here in Orangetown. Just if we could get the legal, not ramifications, the legal, what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do with regard to owning a single-family residence. If we could get that information, at least the owner then we could tell the owner, you can rent to somebody, but you can't rent to 10 people. Because again, what happened in Chestnut Ridge was terrible. 21 people lived in one house with one bathroom. It's heartbreaking for the people themselves, and we know it's about rental, getting money, and we just don't want it to happen on Carlton Road. So we just again ask you if you could let us know what the attorneys in the town could find out and let us know what, again, the owner can and cannot do to help everybody, because this is just the beginning of what could happen in many places, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jamie Failing. Jamie Susan, Jamie.
I'm Jamie Failing. I live at 48 Kinsley Grove in Pearl River. I'm a direct neighbor of Van Houten's, and I am in support of Van Houten's and Rockland Cider Works. This is a battle between agricultural and municipal interests that can be resolved without the loss of another farm, like Shim's Farm in Clarkstown, which was recently agricultural land and now a 55-plus community. The potential for conflict between farming interest and safety exists. However, like suburban towns in New York and New Jersey, we need to balance the interests of the farm's ability to survive and the public safety concern. Unfortunately, in order to exist as a farm in this day and age, there is a need for supplemental income. We could have a very bright and loud, traffic-filled, crazy drive-through light show, as one of the only other farms nearby has, or we can support the cidery already in existence. The farm does not pose a direct threat to public health and safety. It does pose a nuisance to like 4 or 5 surrounding neighbors. But the densely populated area that the farm is going to become, if they cannot sustain, is going to have a negative impact on those exact neighbors as well as the entire community. At that time, it will be too late to put the genie back in the bottle, like with the Nyack College. We will then have the loss of yet another farm, more dense housing, traffic and congestion that this town and county does not need. As said before, having the farm and barn without the cidery is not an option. I ask you to, like all other towns in this situation, please work through the minor issues to stand up for the farm and the ability to sustain itself while fighting overdevelopment. I ask the Van Houten's to please lower their expectation of what this can be and seek a decision within reason. Be honest and comply with whatever decision is agreed upon. There is no need for greed. I ask the neighbor who emails the board daily, videos, and makes call after call to appreciate how nice it is to have the horse you love at the barn in your backyard, and how wonderful it is to have that barn there for all the children, whether it be special needs programs, Girl Scouts, or even just my daughter. My hope is that all parties will begin to make concessions and start working together to create a solution. Granted, no one is going to be fully happy, but then we won't have to lose yet another farm and another stable in our community. I, for one, can't live with that. Although this matter doesn't seem to be too pressing to the board, I ask that you please try to forget what has already happened. Look only forward and try again to work with the farm to come to a fair, reasonable agreement. Keep this farm in the community. It's what's best. I'm asking all parties involved to stop fighting for their own wants, to swallow their pride, take their blinders off, and put an end to this game of chicken. Because, please make this happen, because if you can, in the end, we all lose. Just focus on the greater good.
Thank you. John Cherry from,
Thank you. My name's John Sherry. I live in West Nyack, but I work in Orangetown. And I've gone and shopped at Van Houten Farms, and I fully support them. I think they're a valuable resource for the town and for the area. How many areas have farms? I mean, they're disappearing. We've got to protect the farms. And they do, I think, a valuable service for the town. Unfortunately, with the virus, they had to curtail some of their activities, but I've known Jim for a long time, and I think that you have to be very careful about letting resources like the farm disappear. Thank you.
thank you. What's that? Loretta Tito. You want this?
If anyone wants to sit.
There are
there's-
some
there's
seats if anyone's
up
standing
front
up. There's a
for the
couple
people in
seats.
the back. There's about 6 seats in the front.
No? Okay.
Hello, my name is Loretta Tito. I live on Sickletown Road with my husband. We're about 8 houses away from the cidery. We've lived in this neighborhood since 1985. I'm a gardener and liked having a plant nursery nearby. It was a pleasure even to pass by a pastoral scene with colorful plants, young trees on display, a few horses munching on the grass, and I like knowing there were therapy horses for children next door to the nursery. Friends said, "You're so lucky to live where you can see horses just down the road all the time." I agreed. It went on that way for many years. Then the cidery came to the nursery. I enjoy a glass of beer, and I went there. I got something to eat from a food truck to take out. It was different to have a cidery aligned with a nursery, and I thought it was an odd combination, but I was still processing and keeping an open mind. However, in a few short years, the scene changed. Now there were cars parked along both sides of the street. There were cars pulling in and out, and it took concentration to get by safely. There was loud music interfering on quiet nights, and just in general, a lot more traffic to contend with. It reminded me of going past an amusement park attraction, and that's fun to go to. But in a family neighborhood, it doesn't fit. I'm not happy with a business invasion coming into my once quiet neighborhood. The cidery belongs in a business area. Some question that stays with me is, we've tried to take care of our property over the years. How will this business in the neighborhood affect the real estate value of our home if and when we choose to sell? Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Cawley?
Hello, Kathy Cawley. I'm a resident of Kinsley Grove, a neighbor of the farm for over 40 years. I recently just built a new home on Kinsley Grove, so I am in support of the farm, always have been, always will be. I was there this weekend at the event. It was a wonderful community event with lots of people there of all different ages from all different places, young, old, seniors, animals. And I, like Jamie, I think she said everything correct. Why can't we all get along and figure this out? It took me almost 3 years to build a house, and I know the bureaucracy of permitting and the boards and all that, but we should be able to agree to keep our community together. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Robert Beers? Robert Beers? No? All right, that's what that says, right? Robert Beers?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
it says.
No? Calling Robert Beers? No? Okay. So that's all I have who signed up. Is anybody who has not had a chance to sign up, just by a raise of hand? I see someone in the back there. You can come in first.
Hi, my name is Greg Winscoe. I live at 1 Jane Court, Pearl River. I'm a 51-year-old lifetime resident of Pearl River. I remember Shem's Farm in New City. I remember Tice's. I remember Van Riper's, Duryea Farm, DePiro's. I think everybody remembers those and misses them. Van Hounds is here. I believe it's a gem, an important part of our town. Almost all the 8 goals listed in Orangetown's comprehensive plan refer to preserving the town's character and history, as well as open spaces. It refers to placemaking strategies for community events, such as holiday markets, farmers markets, and live entertainment. I think that probably sounds familiar to everybody. It also notes modernizing and updating zoning in regard to uses not previously considered, which may be what we have here. While safety concerns may be real, this board must recognize how important the farm is to all the Orangetown residents. And nearby residents must recognize the very real alternatives if the farm fails. Thank you.
What's his name? Did you get his name? I didn't get it. Did you get his name? I didn't get. Okay. Oh, you got it. Okay, I didn't get it. Anybody else who has not had a chance? I see a hand in the back row.
Okay, there's so much to say in 3 minutes, so I'll do my best. Number one, I was really sorry to see the abuse that you came in for, Supervisor Kenny, today. I have to say that the kind of dissembling that you clarified in your post is what we've been dealing with for several years now, so my sympathy is real. Secondly, I want to say that in some of the posts that I've seen online, there is a thread of implicit anti-Semitism that I think is completely unacceptable. And you all know what I'm talking about. Third thing I want to clarify is there are 3 separate businesses on the Van Houten property. There's the stables, which is a separate business but run by third parties, not owned or participated in by the Van Houtens. There's a farm stand and garden center, not a farm, but a farm stand and garden center that for decades was described that way in the documentation of Van Houten Farms until it became convenient to classify it as a farm. And thirdly, there's the cidery. None of the neighbors are opposed to the stables, and none of the neighbors are opposed to the farm. The only opposition is to the cidery. We would love for the farm to flourish, and I think there are many ways for that to happen. In fact, local and urban farms are experiencing a resurgence right now, but it requires some out-of-the-box thinking to make that happen. And I think that's the way that we could have a solution here that would work for everybody. We're thankful that the town took action, and we thank both the county officials and the patrolman who was on site, and the fire marshal for taking action against what was a clear danger to the public. But we don't want to rest there. We would like the town to extend its case and ask the court to issue an injunction against any and all illegal or non-compliant activities or operations that are going on the Van Houten site. It's one thing to want to save a farm. We all want to save a farm. It's another thing to justify activities that are illegal or non-compliant with local laws or regulations in order to do that. They can't be justified that way. Now, the pictures that I gave you are pictures taken on the roads on Saturday in the immediate area of Sickletown Road and Orangetown Road. As you can see, many of these pictures illustrate that it's impossible to walk down the street because the county right-of-way or the town's right-of-way is being blocked by parked cars. We saw many close misses again. There's one picture there of a Ford Bronco parked on the corner. That owner, among others, was issued with a citation, and when she drove off, flipped off the police officer. So much for respect for law and order. So thank you to the town, thank you to the officials of the town that acted, and we want more. We want an injunction against any and all illegal or non-compliant activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, as, Darren, you'll be next, Barbara. You can, go.
Out-of-the-box thinking for the farm, like maybe a farm cidery. How about that? That's out of the box. I had a long list. I had a list here of some things that I was going to go over, but for the sake of time, I'll just get right to the point. I do agree with one thing, though, that that car was parked inappropriately, and they did deserve a ticket. This cidery is absolutely a legal use for the farm. The state of New York defines farm cider as an agricultural product. It is clearly stated in our zoning for the a permitted use is the production and sales of agricultural products. So there's that. You know, we've been talking about, you know, the farm needs to diversify and evolve, or it's going to be gone. And for those that don't believe me, and it's already been mentioned here tonight, look at all the farms that are gone. They're all gone. And the very few that still exist in the county or anywhere in the state rely on agritourism for if not a significant part of their income, a majority of it. Davies and Conklin's, it's agritourism that keeps those businesses alive today. And they're the only other two besides us, family farms left in the county. But, you know, the main point here is, and I had other things I was going to say, but, you know, why are we here? Why has this come to this? You know, you've asked us to submit zoning amendments and information, and we've given it to you. And then you got it and you changed your mind, and you asked for something else, and we gave that to you. And then you got it and you changed your mind again, and you asked for something else, and we gave that to you. And every time you've sat on it. The ball's in your court. We're waiting for you. We've asked you, let's sit down, let's figure this out, let's work together. We should all be working together. The thing that's been most frustrating is how adversarial this whole ordeal has been. We should be working together to get this figured out. The town wants this, we want this, we want to save the farm. So let's do it. Let's sit down. Let's set a date right now. Can we do that?
I think we did it already, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work on the first try, and you pulled a 180 after I thought we had made some progress.
Okay,
So
we're
let's
not-
do it
I'm
again.
not gonna go into a back and forth.
Well, let's not. Let's set a date right now and let's do this. Let's get this resolved. Let's do it. Let's set a date.
I'm not setting a date. You wanna set a date, set a date.
Let's work together to resolve this. And, you know, there's nothing about the lawsuit that prevents us from sitting down and figuring this out. Because if we come to a resolution on this, the lawsuit goes away. Okay, the invitation's open, and we can talk to our attorneys, but let's sit down, let's figure this out. Let's work together on this.
Okay, I'll comment when he's done, okay? To be clear, I sat down with Councilman Donahue, with the Van Houtens and their attorney on October 19th. We talked through criteria for how it could work, again, saying that you wouldn't be happy, the neighbors wouldn't be happy, no one's gonna get what they want. We sat, we had a very productive meeting. I've always said, and this is, I'm speaking for myself, that I would not be moving forward while the illegal activity continued. You can think it's legal all you want, I disagree, okay? It's in court, a judge will ultimately decide. I said I needed to stop, and then we would work through it. A couple of days later, there was a big event, and the police were there, and the neighbors were calling.
You never said anything about us closing down. You said.
Again, stop, it's not closing down.
You
It's
said
not closing down, the farm could be open.
No, the cidery.
Okay.
This is about the
This is not
cidery,
gonna happen
which is a
tonight.
part
Come
of
on,
the
there's other
farm.
people who want to speak, so thank you. Excuse me, we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna go back and forth. And Barbara wants to speak, thank you.
And you know, why, we're running a legal business. Why should we close it down? This is a legal use.
Okay, your time's up.
As by, you know, it's laid out in the zoning.
Your time's up.
The invitation is open. Let's sit down and let's resolve this.
Please, otherwise, somebody else wants to
And, you
speak.
know, even if it is an
I'm
illegal
gonna have to,
use, even if it is an illegal use, which it's not, you know, if someone builds.
don't make me call the police, please.
If someone
Don't make
builds
me
a
do it.
deck on the side of their house,
Don't, there are other people here who want to conduct business. What you're doing is not right.
If
Just
someone-
like, I'm gonna stop.
Thank
You don't
you.
give other people 3 minutes.
if
Okay.
someone builds a deck on the side of their house, do you make them tear it down before they get the permit for it?
If you think this is helpful, I can assure you it's not.
Okay, all right. The invitation is open. Let's get this resolved. Let's work together.
Barbara? Barbara?
Barbara Dello Blavel. Unless there are major changes to the comp plan from what I've seen so far, I would urge you to vote no on adoption and certainly not soon. This is because beyond specific things, there are several themes interwoven throughout the entire document that conflict with both the consultant's own research of community wishes and expand government footprint in the community. There's continues to be talk of multifamily, not just in the villages, but in the hamlets. There is continued talk throughout of increase in infrastructure, housing, more housing density, road changes, traffic pattern changes, complete streets with the state, in anticipation of future increases in population to what we have had a stable population. It recommends things like putting out education programs and, in order to promote things that the government thinks is good. Now, we live in a country with the First Amendment where people have a right to their own beliefs, be they atheists, be they like me a Catholic, be they a Methodist or whatever, and we should not have the state choose one point of view on values, issues, and then use local government and local government taxes to promote it. There's more involvement recommended in the comp plan for state and federal initiatives with resulting things like strings attached, incentives to become ideal planned community. And again, that goes against whose idea of an ideal community. Loss of local decision-making and movement and more, oh, that's another thing, hold on. Okay. There's recommendations to promote more social programming, and we have a whole social service department in the county. Equity. Throughout this whole document is equity. And the Constitution says the role of government, or United States government, is to promote general welfare, not guarantee general welfare. Regardless of whether the people work or do their...
Okay, Barbara, your time's up.
know.
I know you might have come in late. We did say that the latest version is going to be put up on the website on the 5th, December 5th. I guess we'll put one outside, too. So what you may be working off of is not going to be the latest version. I don't think it's going to be dramatically different, but you may want to check back on the 5th.
Yeah. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, and then I'll
Okay,
sit down.
thank you.
Is that there are themes going through that are different than specific item changes.
Thank you. Okay.
Teresa, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, while I myself find it frustrating at times, we normally don't get into a back and forth with each individual speaker. And I find it frustrating for myself because I'd like to answer people right away when they give a comment or something. And the way the town board has run since I've been on it is normally all of the speakers get up and then we're all given an opportunity to address the speakers at once. That's why if you see that we're taking notes and we're writing stuff down. So it's not that we're not paying attention to the speakers and we don't want to answer, because sometimes I'm biting the inside of my lip because I want to say something immediately, which normally gets me in trouble. So we wait till all the speakers are done. So there will be comment from me, I don't know about everybody else, once all the speakers are done. So I just want people to know that, okay?
Okay, so anybody else that has, okay, I see a hand in the middle, I'm sorry.
Kevin McCormack, 83 Sickletown Road in Orangeburg. Good evening, town board members. I have spoken here several times about the activities at Rockland Cider Works and the negative impact to our residential neighborhood. I want to thank Supervisor Kenny for her Facebook post regarding the event this weekend at RCW and for having a fair perspective about the situation. And I want to thank all the town officials for their due diligence and follow-up on this. As you know, Rockland Cider Works had another event this past weekend that caused considerable traffic, noise, and unsafe conditions to our residential neighborhood. I personally witnessed at 5:15 at night when it was dark, people coming from the cidery, walking in the middle of the road, cars driving along Sickletown Road and having to cross the double yellow line to avoid all the cars parked at Van Houten's and the cidery. The cars parked up and down both sides of Blauvelt Road, creating unsafe conditions at the intersection of Blauvelt and Sickletown roads. I find it interesting that Rockland Cider Works sent out an email complaining that the town fire marshal on Small Business Saturday came to do an inspection and shut them down. I wasn't aware that the town laws and safety codes were not enforced on Small Business Saturday. The fact is, the fire marshal was doing his job, and I applaud him for doing so. He was attempting to prevent a potential tragedy by ensuring that the event and the buildings were safe and code compliant. RCW told all of their supporters that the fire marshal shut them down. Well, considering the large number of cars and people at RCW at 5:30 that night, it didn't look shut down to me. Town building and safety codes are there for a reason, to try and keep buildings and structures as safe as possible, so that buildings and structures that have people in them are used for the intended purposes and safety measures, and to prevent people from getting injured or killed should a fire or another catastrophic event happen where people might have to evacuate. A greenhouse covered in plastic with one exit and no fire sprinklers or smoke detectors is certainly not built for 75 or more people to be sitting at tables with a bar and a band. It was ripe for a tragedy. The town has procedures and processes in place when a resident or business wants to build something or change its use. You apply for a permit before you start, you submit plans and drawings, then the town researches if your building requires approval from zoning board or the planning board. During the building process, inspections are done by town officials to ensure structures are built to town fire and safety codes. It appears that RCW chose to build and operate without the permits and approvals, and now they want to blame everything on the town. It appears the town this weekend and in general has just been doing their job enforcing the town building and fire codes. When you want to build something in a neighborhood, as a courtesy, you also should reach out to your neighbors and contact them so that they know about the impacts to what's happening. You sit down and let them know what you're doing and alleviate any concerns, and let the neighbors ask questions so you work together to make things happen.
I don't mean to
owners
cut you
chose
off,
not
but
to
I'm
do that.
trying to be very
Thank you.
equal with everybody, cutting everybody off. Okay, anybody else that hasn't had a chance? Eileen?
Good evening. Somebody left glasses here, I think. A few weeks ago, I raised the question about the increase in the low-income senior citizen income level from $37,000 to $400,000, and thankfully tonight you did a great presentation, and I know at least 5 neighbors that will be very happy. One lady has been with us for 16 years, another one 10 years, another one 2 years, another one 1 year, and their income really, they don't work. They're aged from 75 to 88. So they're not out there working. So I'm sure they'd be very happy to see you as a board move this forward in whatever direction has to be done according to Brian. Brian's presentation was very helpful. I did some research on it today also, and to qualify, seniors must be 65 years of age or older and meet certain income limitations and other requirements. For the 50% exemption, the law allows each county, city, town, village, or school district to set the maximum income limit at any figure between $3,000 and $50,000. The average income supposedly ranges from $1,666, and I went to the high level, $2,454. Now, if you average that out to a yearly income, and most people are paying at least $12,000 and up in taxes, and I'm really not shooting off some numbers that are not actually accurate, but if you take into consideration what people have to pay, they have to pay the Medicare, they have to pay, the cost of living now is up to 8.5% inflation. So this will certainly be beneficial. According to Brian, the impact for the rest of the town should not be that much, but keep in mind that 75% of all budgets, school and town budgets, go to salaries, health insurance, and blah, blah, blah. And those costs have not had kids in the districts for about maybe 30 years or more, are born by those citizens. And it's time for us to get a break. And this will certainly be helpful. I think you should push it as much as you can. You should direct your correspondence to the higher-ups, because people like little old me, Tom, I don't have that kind of influence at all. You do. So certainly will look good on the, political messages, but, and that's what it's all about. But anyway, thank you for doing this, and I look forward to maybe someday, maybe 2 years from now, I can benefit from it. And moving forward, I won't have to lose my house, and garden, and go on a vacation, and buy new clothes, and just have a good
Okay.
old time.
Thank you. Okay, is anybody else who has not had a chance to speak that would like to speak? You, in the back.
My name is Patricia DeGraw, and I live at 2 Glenwood Drive, up the street from...
Can you speak into the microphone,
Okay.
please?
So I live on 2 Glenwood Drive. I've lived here my whole entire life.
Your name?
Patricia DeGraw, 2 Glenwood Drive, up the road from Van Houten's, and I've been a customer there for years. I bring my kids there. And it just upsets me, like everything that's going on back and forth, and it's like a tit for tat. So I think that, you guys should try to work together, but one thing that I heard tonight is like parking, right? Everybody's parking on the side of the street. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen no parking signs, and maybe that's something that the town should do, so then maybe there's no cones around the thing, because that's an issue. So if you guys can put up some no parking signs, then nobody will park on the side, and then they can try to park in the back, okay? And I understand not everybody's gonna be happy, some of the residents next to it. I drive past it all the time, going to ShopRite and stuff. Sometimes there is, but I've never seen as much as what everybody complains about, and I've lived here for over 15 years. And I do think they're trying to supplement their income with the cidery. I don't drink at all, not one sip of nothing. I have 3 kids, I bring my niece there all the time. I've never been bothered. I garden, I help other people with the gardens, never ever once been bothered by anything that's ever gone on there. Another thing that I think that should be done is that all violations should be made public. In a newspaper, write it somewhere so we can also see what's going on. So then they can say, look, we've done A, B, and C. Like, what else do you want me to do? Because this one's saying this, you're saying this, but really it's a bunch of confusion for how long is this gonna go on? I don't wanna see anything else built there. I wanna see the farm. I like the horses there. I like that it's quiet. I think there's some type of happy medium that everybody can come to, and not everybody has to be on like, I won. It's work together and solve the problem. It's a great attribute to the community, and I would hate to see it gone. And I don't wanna see another development or anything. They could sell to whoever they want. You would lose the farm, you'd lose the horse farm, for what, just for a cidery? Figure out how to make it work.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who hasn't had a chance to speak that would like to speak? Do one more last call for Robert Beers, who signed in earlier? No? Robert left. He heard enough. Okay.
Nobody else?
Nobody else? Then I'm going to take a motion to close.
I'll make a motion.
Brian made a motion to close, second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll let you go. Go at it.
So, the big topic tonight is obviously Van Houten's and everything that's going on. Right now, there are several lawsuits going on, one against the town and one against Van Houten's. The neighbor who got up and said that the town should be seeking an injunction to stop them immediately, actually, their lawsuit sought that injunction and it was denied by the court. That's why they weren't shut down immediately. As far as the zoning, that's before the court. So I'm not going to comment on the zoning at all. I'm hoping the court decides. I think it's disgraceful that it's been in the courts this long and that a judge can't make a decision on basically whether they're a farm or not. But that's out of our hands at this point. The town board has nothing to do with that. We're waiting for the court's opinion on that. Well, the problem is this. The judge, I guess, retired, and it was handed off to another judge and put on his pile. And that's why it seems to be taking so long. But in either case, why it's taking so long, I think is disgraceful to a business and to the residents and the neighbors who are in limbo waiting for this court decision. Personally, I support the farm, and I don't want to see the farm go away. And if they have to supplement their income with the cidery, and it's determined one way or the other, I think there are concessions that can be made on both sides that can make this work for the community. And if we do our job properly, everybody will leave a little disgruntled, but we'll have a farm that will remain intact for many years to come. That's all I really have to say, is that I do support the farm. I think I've been here a long time, and that gentleman got up and named all those farms that closed. I had my kids at all those farms, and they're all gone. I live around the corner from Van Houten's. I drive up and down that street every single day. When you go up Monday through Friday, that parking lot is empty. So if you think they're going to sustain by just selling a couple of potted plants, or they should rely on their selling their farm goods in New York City, that's not how business works. If you have one part of your business that's not making money, you either change it or you close it. You don't continue to keep that part of the business open that's losing money when you have other parts that are making money. So I find it interesting that people always have opinions on how small businesses should operate, but don't own their own small business. I can tell you firsthand, it's extremely difficult in these times to own a small business in the state of New York and survive. And you have to do what you can to survive. So I applaud them for trying to keep the farm open, but we have to wait the court's decision on the ruling on whether it is a farm or not before we can do anything to go forward. So me personally, I feel like my hands are tied, and I feel like it's a shame for both the neighbors who are opposed to the cidery and to the cidery that the courts are taking so long and dragging this on and costing both sides a lot of money in court and the town. That's my 2 cents.
No, I'm good. Anybody over here? I'm not saying, I said my piece ready.
I just want to second what Paul had said. I do support Van Houten's. I've been up here for 20 years. It's been an institution in our town. I'm very pro-business, small business, and the last thing I want to do is see any businesses go under. I know they're trying their hardest to do what they can to survive. I'm new, so I'm basically fresh. I think both sides have been very frustrated over the last 2 years. So I have a fresh mind, and I'm going to work my hardest to try to come to some sort of resolution, because I know there is a resolution. We'll come to it, because the alternative is not an option, to me, anyway. So.
Teresa, I want to just say one more thing. I also agree that there should be no parking signs up and down Sickletown Road, and I think Van Houten Farms would feel the same way. They would much prefer the cars to be in their parking lot. And I think that there were attempts made where cones were put out, and then the town or the county or someone was called about the cones being put out, so the cones were picked up, and then cars are parked, and the cars shouldn't be parked there. And I don't think anybody wants a dangerous situation along Sickletown Road. Us, the residents, the people who are parking there, they should be forced into the parking lot. And I think the county, the town, whoever, I know it's before our traffic advisory committee, should make recommendations that no parking signs should be put there. And that will take that major concern, which I hear at every meeting, right off the table. And that's one of the compromises we can make to make these things work.
Carrie? Okay. Okay, on that note, we're going to move on to our agenda item. You want to say something? Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you, okay. Okay, so moving on to the first agenda item.
Give 2 minutes in case people
Sure,
leave?
we'll give people 2 minutes unless they don't want to sit around here. You're more than welcome to listen to
Let's do the 5-minute adjournment.
5-minute
We're
adjournment.
going to take a 5-minute adjournment before we go on to the regular agenda.
you ask Dennis if that's him?
We don't need Dennis.
No, we gotta ask him if that was him in the picture.
I want to show.
That's not, it's not. She wants to ask you something. Rosanna wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, I got a question.
No, I know.
No, it's this,
Dennis, you were double parked.
okay, we're back on, so let's, okay. Okay, agenda item number 3. This is, okay, we got moved by Tom Divany, second. We're on item number 3. We had a move by Tom Divany. Do I have a second? This is the Rockland County easement.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye. Number 4, approve the agreement with EV Connect for the charging stations down at Depot Square.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Jerry, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, approve designate snow emergency routes in the hamlet of South Nyack, as indicated there. Motion?
Move.
Tom moved, second? Jerry Batari, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, appoint John Robinson to the position of senior grounds worker probationary effective December 5th, 2022 in the Department of Parks and Recreation. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Paul Valentine, move, second.
I'll second.
Brian Donahue, all in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to combine agenda items 8 through 10?
Is it 8 through 11?
I'm
8
sorry.
through 11.
Motion to combine agenda items.
Thank you.
And I will second.
11 and
8
approve.
to, okay, so Tom Adamini moved it, and Jerry seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So he combined them and approved them. That was good. So, on that note, we are up to
Meeting
number 12.
calendar.
Meeting calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the
Move, that looks good.
Tom Divany, second?
I
Jerry
will
Batari,
second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, we got the audit. Thank you, sir.
Jeff, keep it short, Jeff. 6 items.
Yeah, we give you 6 tops.
Exactly. You can't have 12 items of interest. It's not just, it's
All
not
right,
that interesting.
I'll have to work on 6 items. The audit for tonight consists of 2 warrants for $1.7 million. Items of interest, number 2, New York State Department of Civil Service, $827,000 for healthcare benefits. Second warrant had 156 vouchers for $955,000. Items of interest, A Plus Technology, $66,000 for security cameras at various pump stations. 2, Capasso, $80,000 for recycling. Number 15, Morano Brothers, $341,000 for North Middletown Road project. And number 19, Verde Electric, $88,000 for new traffic signals. Any questions on the audit?
Awesome, Jeff.
A motion to accept the audit.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I don't believe there's any reason to go into executive session unless,
No.
does anybody have anything that they would like to go into executive session? Okay. So on that, we're not going to do that. We're going to close in memory. We have a couple of adjournments. We have Catherine Dodge, a resident of Orangeburg and former Orangetown Deputy Town Supervisor, which I learned today. Robert Gallagher, the Pearl River football coach. Anna Hickey, resident of Piermont and retired Rockland Commissioner of Jurors. And Linda Ofelt, mother-in-law, retired Orangetown employee Frank Luciano.
Hi, if I could just have a moment on Catherine Dodge, on the adjournment for her. Catherine was a longtime member of the Park Development Committee. She was the chairperson when I started here, when I took this job. She was one of the folks who sat in on the several interviews that I sat through. Catherine was always very kind to me and often sat here in meetings next to me, keeping me kind of apprised of what I was hearing for the very first time in my earliest days here and kind of keeping me informed. So a lot of gratitude to her, and she's going to be missed. She was a very great friend to Parks and Rec Department. So wanted to get up and say
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, she was very, very active for a long time with the town, so. Absolutely, absolutely. So can I get a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.